Hello, humans. I am worried. There are moments that are good and times when they are bad. Will my family be okay? Will I be okay? Does anyone care?
When I was getting prepared to talk about this, I was doing some reading, and what I came upon was awful news that with people who are severely financially stressed, they are 20 times more likely to take their own life than somebody who is not financially stressed. So this is a real issue that goes beyond money. Debt, for some reason, has become a death sentence in America, and people are really feeling it. And I think credit unions, this is a perfect time to step up and say, no, you are not your debt. You are separate from that. We can help you get out of debt. Here's how, because these are human lives. We hear right now, there's stories in the news about a young man who misunderstood how Robinhood trading worked, and he was trading options and thought he made a mistake and thought he owed a lot of money, and he didn't, but in the meantime, he killed himself. And so money is real, the way it hits people. And it's not just, oh, we're here to help them with their money. Money is life in America. Money's access, money's power, all of these things. And we give our members agency when we help them learn how to use it and empower themselves. And, on terms of equity and that sort of thing, financial equality is going to bring about racial equality. It's the way it's going to happen, where we have to make that line. So credit unions, again, on the front line of social change if we embrace it.
And the first way and the biggest way we saw that we could help individuals was through the promotion of our employee assistance program. And so EAP industry averages pre-2020 were right around 3%. And that's where we were coming into it. And to put this into perspective with the background of the pandemic and the unrest that we saw in 2020, our utilization average went to 62%. So the stigma's gone. People are using it. And if there wasn't all these issues, that number would scare me to death. But I think it's a wonderful thing that people are tapping into and getting the help that they need. I've used the EAP for the first time. I was one of those people who thought, I'll never need to use the EAP, and everything will be fine. And I found it tremendously useful. We need to keep listening. We need to not just listen, but ask, what do people need? And with the backdrop of everything that's going on, because everybody's dealing with it differently. We can't just assume all of our employees are going, or all people in general are going through this in the same manner and having the same issues that impact them. So we need to keep listening. We have to ask and draw it out, understand what their situation might be, and ask ourselves, what can we do to help?
We launched our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council last February, in fact, and they have been amazing in terms of, helping us think through everything from, our employee handbook and the use of pronouns, all the way to, really kind of who we want to be in terms of a company and how are we making sure that we are tapping into our networks. It's been an evolution, but I think in terms of education, awareness, and programming, we are doing our best to make sure that we are offering an inclusive work environment that ultimately supports our goal of being that employer of choice. So a lot of really good work that I think our council is doing and continues to do to make sure that we are staying on top and being the employer we want to be. We also leveraged our internal culture crew, which is a group of employees that is chartered to really help us identify those opportunities that we have to impact our culture positively. And so, through those organizations, through those employee-driven groups, we were able to meet the moment. I think my learning for last year was really that we as co-op had an opportunity to, appreciate how outside events impact us internally. Sometimes we like to think that, there are very thick boundaries between what happens at work and what happens on the outside. How do we talk to employees about what's happening in the world and what we believe as co-op? And I think our CEO, Todd Clark, has done a wonderful job of really stating that. Todd does Todd Talks once a week, and it's a video clip. It might be 5 minutes, but he talks about, what's top of mind for him, whether it's recognition of what's going on in the business, whether it's employee recognition, whether it's just awareness and update and his thoughts. And I think that too makes an impact on how they view what is happening inside co-op as well as outside. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that as well.
Well, certainly in terms of the good, you just cannot avoid talking about the pandemic. And you see in the good what credit unions have done for their members and for their communities over the last 10 months. The trade associations have certainly compiled all the PPP numbers and the emergency loans and some of the other steps. Well, what is less well known and frankly will never be documented is really some of the good, the small things that credit unions have done in their offices and with their branches to help out members. Those stories that'll never really be told, but they're just the small things that are the difference between someone, keeping the rent in the place they live and perhaps being evicted. So that's the overarching good that many credit unions have done. Secondly, you would certainly have to look at the good work they've done maintaining most of their employment and their staffing levels. Been very easy to, especially if you are a for-profit, to simply say, look, branch staff, we don't need you. We're furloughing you. Good luck. Here's how you fill out an unemployment form. But for the most part, credit unions have been able to maintain staffing levels by redeploying people. So that's certainly a positive. And I think the final good is that some of that has been recognized nationally, although there's been so much competing news, it's difficult to really differentiate that.
I'd like to say it's a tale of two sides of the coin. One side, we had a great year. We did really well. We had record-breaking mortgage originations, as an example, and a lot of that was driven by where we are. People are moving out of the city, so even purchases took off in 2020. We had refinances, obviously, because of the interest rate environment. So that was all a great thing. Lending was just up in general. Think about PPP alone. We did a lot, for over a very short period of time to help our small businesses out. And so those things really went well. Now you turn the coin over and probably 25, 30% of our members are hurting. I mean, they're out of business, they're out of work. So we did a pivot there, to make sure that we're paying attention to them and doing the loan deferrals that they needed. And we even shifted our foundation to support the food banks because, people are literally starving to death. And that's a sad statement, considering, 3/4 of the population is doing okay. And then the rest of them are really hurting. So I think that's why we're in the business that we're in, the credit union business. But to see that that those two sides is very unusual. You're usually up or down. It's never both at the same time. Now, well-being is much different than wellness. All of us, I think, have been working on wellness with our members over the years, and that's teaching them how to budget their money and do the right things with all that, their investments and whatnot. But what we found out that there's a whole well-being is how do you feel and how do our members feel? We have people that are struggling right through thriving, and it has nothing to do with their income levels or how much their family makes and whatnot. And so how do we go back after that and really turn our brand into serving our mission, which is to improve our members' lives and the communities we serve, and do that in a way that they feel good about how we help them manage their money, but more importantly, what they do with their money. So, it's all about member behavior, and our behavior is I saved my money so I could provide my kids' education, or so I could retire, or so I could take a vacation. Well, when you feel good about those kind of things, then your well-being improves. And I think that's something that we really feel good about. The members are feeling good about it. So I'm going to circle back to what I just said. Our branches are now outbound calling centers. So when the pandemic took up in February, March, we started calling the members because they weren't coming in and just asking them, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How do we help you? And they go, why are you calling me? We said, just to do that. We wanted to see how you're doing. I can't tell you how many compliments that we got from our members that said, thank you for checking on us. And that's all well-being is. But think about it. We're not providing just financial services, which is a huge commodity, right? We're providing something that means something to them. And so are they going to look to come back and do more business with us? Well, hopefully, yes. But more importantly, do they feel good about their financial system, which, has been very difficult. We love to hate it as you think about it.
We talked about this notion that as a credit union, as a cooperative family, as a community, that we should care about one another. I mean, that's just basic decency. But it also presents a competitive advantage for us as a co-op to share with our membership that just peddling products isn't what we are about. That their concerns, their wherewithal, and their livelihoods, if you will, is part of our responsibility as a co-op. And so one of the things we try to express among our team here and among our board and the membership is that it is insufficient for the credit union as a corporation to do well in a season and the membership suffers. So, perhaps I'm a bleeding heart, Susan, I don't know. I tend to take these things personal. And so we put this chip on our own shoulders that if our members in the community are struggling, then we dare believe it is our responsibility as their credit union to do something about it. So I am held responsible not just for the bottom line, return on assets and net worth and the usual metrics for the credit union's performance. I also hold it as a personal responsibility that we ensure that our members in their communities are doing well. And that requires having a listening ear to what their concerns are, and also being sensitive enough to react to the responses that we receive from our members.
I really think the only difference that credit unions really have is our purpose. And our purpose should be the mission of financial health. There are things we can do and will do that others will not. And if you set up a structure to fulfill that aspect of your mission, I think amazing things happen for individuals, and then amazing things happen for communities. And the closer we stick to that differentiation, I think the better off as an industry we are, but the better off as community pillars we will be in serving the members in our communities. I will tell you, last year, in the last 20 years, we had the highest membership growth rate we ever had. I can't figure it out, to be honest with you, because it was not indirect lending, but we grew over 8.5% membership. And every year for the last 5 years, our membership growth has been picking up to hit about 8.5% in 2020. I read industry articles that said credit unions dropped from an average of 3% down to like 1%. I think some of the economists were indicating that. And yet our membership was going up and up. Our biggest membership growth is member referrals. And I believe we only have that because of our attention to mission performance.